I think there's almost like a reality check on, how much the business itself is like in its own a big learning curve, and people meet you where you are at, if you're there and you're clear about what is it that you want and why is it that you want it, people are responsive to it.
The Hollywood
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hollywood Dream Podcast, the podcast where we talk to film and TV professionals about their journey towards reaching that big Hollywood dream, whatever that might be to them. And in today's episode, I'm chatting with my dear friend and actor, entrepreneur, Ydaiber Orozco. Ydaiber has done tons of TV and film and commercials. You can see her in HBO's Hack, Dear White People on Netflix, Criminal Minds, and the list goes on and on. Hi, Ydaiber!
Hi, Giovanni. So good to see you.
It's so nice to see you virtually.
I know. It still feels like you're here with me, though.
So how's life?
Life is good. It's been an interesting first months of the year.
Yeah.
It's just been let's say a steady year so far. There's a lot of changes coming in for me. So this has been a lot of growth and a lot of education, I guess, in the last few months.
I feel like we talk on like Instagram and stuff, but we never actually, since Esper, we met in acting school, and it's been so long, and we never actually sat down and have a full conversation. So I'm excited for this.
Me too. Yeah. So you tell me, what do you want to know?
Let's begin. So, I've always thought that you have the most unique name. Ever since I met you in Esper, I have never met anyone with another Ydaiber. And I read that there's a story behind that name.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a story. Actually, I am the only person with this name in the world. And it means, it's my grandmother's names together. So one is Ida and the other one was Ever. So their names were unique already. So my dad decided to put that together. And, the Ida part is like Ida, but then he threw the Y in there just to make it even more interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm super, super proud of my name and carrying my abuelita's legacy,
That's the lovely thing about Latin America and Latinos. We always have unique names. Our parents were really creative when they were naming us.
For sure.
You're from Venezuela, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
was born and raised in Venezuela. I probably lived there 20 years.
Oh, and did you want to be an actor when you were there?
You know what? I didn't have any influence. Like, there was no one around me who was doing that, so it was kind of difficult to have an image or an expander, if you will. I only had reference of what I saw on TV, which was very, very limited back then. But my mom, she was subscribed to these newspaper, like special edition or something, and I would get theater plays, every Sunday. And I started a collection of plays, and that opened up my world. And it was literally like, I was like 7, and I was reading all of these American and European writers' plays and Venezuelan writers' plays. And I was just like, wait a minute, I want to be a part of this story. And, so it was I think it started from a place of curiosity, and then it moved into a place of like taking action, because it was very difficult for me to just be like, I feel like kids nowadays have so much access to this information, even if they don't have it in their city, in their town, in their country, they have access to all of these. I didn't have that. So for me, it was very a trial and error kind of process. And I think I was probably 11 or 12 when I produced my first play.
Wow. In Venezuela?
It came from that place of one. Yeah. I remember putting together like the group that lived in my building, you know, a bunch of kids that were my age. And I remember one of them was like 18. So he was kind of like the old one, you know, and he was going to be the director because I decided he's the oldest one. He needs to be the director. And then, yeah, everybody had a job, you know, so it was like we were actors, but we were also like, you know, makeup and costumes and casting and the set, you know, set design. So we borrow the party room downstairs in our building. You know, they used to rent that for like quinceañeras and things like that. And we took over the space for a couple of weeks, and we brought in rental chairs and we set a full on stage. And then on that stage, we were performing Moliere. And it was my first experience with theater, you know, like we went in by myself and I was the producer, you know, so I guess that's where my love for producing comes from as well.
Which Moliere play?
The Misanthrope in Amaro. So we did it in Spanish, of course. But yeah, I remember inviting my friends and classmates from high school. I was in high school at that time, I think. And and they were like, "You did this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did this." And it felt really good. I mean, we sold tickets. I remember like we even had like a stamp for the tickets. Like we had the tickets and we sold them, and we did it like for over 3 or 4 nights or something like that. And we were sold out every night. So yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I love that so much. Yeah. So that's how I would say that's how my love for the arts began, you know, and I wanted to be on TV. I wanted to be in movies, but there was, you know, in Venezuela itself, there was really nobody like me who was doing that because, you know, Venezuela, as you probably know, we are very well known for winning all the Miss Universes and all the Miss Worlds and all these pageants. And a lot of the people, I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of the people that were on TV came from that world. You know, it was almost like their school. You know, they would go to the pageant and then they would transition into becoming actors and artists in general. So I couldn't see myself reflected, you know, in that world, and nor is nobody was like knocking on the door to offer me these opportunities either. You know, so I had to create them myself, which is very similar to what still is nowadays.
Yeah, and you're still doing that. So that's incredible.
Yeah.
Did you ever want to win novellas?
You know what? I think because it was the only reference I had, then yes, at that point. But, you know, reflecting back or even, you know, as a young adult and growing up, I don't think that was an intention anymore. I think a film was probably or is still probably the most magnetic medium for me, where I feel that I just love independent film. I just love the grittiness of a film and the rawness of those kind of stories. And then theater is my next love, you know, and I haven't done theater in years, but I just get transported. I go to a theater and I just feel like, I want to be back on stage again, you know, and it's harder in LA, you know, because everything is there's a lot of good theater, don't take me wrong, you know, but everything is so spread out that even to commit yourself for a play that it's going to have to rehearse for several days and the commute, it becomes like you almost have to focus on that only, if you will, you know, and just do something during the day and then your afternoons and evenings for that. So it's been a little challenging. And honestly, I haven't made it a priority. I think that there's a thing when you arrive to a place like Los Angeles where it's almost like your priorities, without you even noticing, change a little bit, and you kind of become part of this rat race of following the next job. And I think I want to connect again with why I want to be an actor, first of all, you know, and what is it that really fills my cup versus just, you know, pursuing the next job and measuring my worth as an actor based on results, you know, on booking, you know.
Yeah. Will you ever consider just coming back to New York?
I have, and I did, you know, I was even there last year and it was magic, you know. I feel like I have this this love affair with New York that I go there and I just feel like, oh, I love you, but you don't love me, kind of thing, you know. There's something very special about New York, and I just think that, you know, when I was in New York for work, I was in a very different mindset. I was doing different things, and it just felt like I was just hustling all the time, and it was exhausting, you know. And I just felt at some point just very depleted, you know, combining my passions and my money making, you know, and I was just depleted. So I I decided to take a step back and know that New York will come back when it's the right time. I feel it in my heart that at some point I'm probably gonna be back there. I actually do have an agent now in New York. I just started working with him because of that trip that I did last year, and it's been a really, really good relationship. And I'm excited about what that could look like in the future.
Yeah.
But it still is a newer relationship. We're still trying to figure out where do I fit in those shows in that world in New York.
Yeah.
So, but I do see myself at some point being back, even if it's for seasons. But I do see myself doing that.
Do you see yourself producing theater again?
You know, there's a friend of mine in New York actually who is very, very interested in working together, and we have talked about the possibility of like perhaps doing a play, perhaps bringing back something that I've done already. And again, it's just that, you know, when you bring it into the spiritual world, it's just like it's in this stage, you know, of idea, of creating, of allowing the download to come. But I don't think it has been an idea that has been fully processed yet. So
Yeah.
maybe, you know, maybe I don't close that possibility. My favorite Venezuelan writer has recently been appointed to be the creative director, and I might be saying the title wrong, but he's in charge now of the Dallas Theater. And his plays are just, you know, to me, it's like some of the best writing and some of the stories that I just want to just do so bad as an actor.
Yeah.
And, you know, seeing his journey also, you know, like I remember being 15 years old and, you know, saving my weekends just to go to his theater to see his work. You know, that's how much I love this writer. And I got an opportunity to meet him a few years ago, and I told him all of this, and he's like, oh my God, I can't, you know, because if you think about it, you know, a 15-year-old on your own, kind of doing this of like just sitting in the audience, being all of these people and being like, I want to do that. I just don't know how to get there, but I want to do that.
Yeah.
And I had the opportunity to do one of his plays in New York. And it was such an honor to even just have the opportunity to say his words out loud. And so seeing his journey and seeing him now here also in the States and the kind of work that he's now producing, that sounds really exciting to me. It's like, yeah, I think I might have to delve back into producing. Yeah.
And like after you moved to LA and you've been there for a while, do you feel like someone needs to go there in order to make a career in TV or film? Or do you feel now that you've experienced LA and experienced New York, you can just stay in New York and you'll probably be fine?
You can just stay in your little town in Florida and still work. You know, I did theater when I was in Florida, you know. There are commercial opportunities in Florida. There's the proximity to Atlanta that where a lot of big studio films are shooting there. You know, pretty much every city has its own set of opportunities for you to be a creative, you know. So and I think also part of it is like, well, what kind of creative career I want to have. The volume in LA is massive, but so does the volume of people in LA. You know, everybody, and I'm not kidding you, everybody that you meet in a coffee shop, and everybody's somehow involved in the industry. And the few people that I have met that are not, I'm like, why are you even in LA if you're not in the industry? You know, it's like it's just such a city that is moved by the entertainment industry. So, but no, I don't think so. I think that nowadays, with the opportunities of self-tape You can just book a job wherever you are, as long as you have a good internet connection and a good, decent, basic setup where you can have a camera, which your phone is perfectly fine for that, a basic light, a basic mic. No, I don't think you need to be in LA any longer. But it's exciting, So if
Yeah.
you were to make a decision based on that lifestyle, that's a different story.
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of what do you connect with the most? The energy of New York, the energy of LA, the energy of both. People are very different in each place. But like I say, now that I've been in both, there's a lot of things that I love about New York, and there's a lot of things that I love about LA. And
Yeah.
I would think I would love the opportunity to just go back and forth. I think that would be the ideal scenario.
I know that's my dream, to go back and forth and like spend some time in the winters in LA working, just come back here when it's warm.
Well, although let me tell you, it was 39 degrees this morning, so it wasn't warm
I
at
know.
all.
I just saw a meme about like, oh, life. This is New York. I mean, this is LA right now, and it was they were like all in with blankets in the living room.
Yeah. It was snowing yesterday in certain parts.
Really?
Yeah. I had video to prove it.
Oh my God! We had a
Yeah.
little bit of snow here, but now it's like warm. Not warm, but
Oh, nice.
650s.
Warm for winter.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
that's better than here. And literally, it's 45 right now.
Oh my God. Yeah, I went to a lake in January and it
Yeah.
was really cold.
Yeah, people don't expect it, and I think it varies a lot depending on what part of the city you're in, Like I said, everything is so spread out that it literally changes a lot, based on location.
I know. I thought I stayed in downtown LA because I thought my class was going to be like
Okay.
in downtown LA, but it was in Burbank and it was so far.
Okay. That's not too bad, actually. That's not too
Yeah.
bad. Okay. What class were you
I
taking?
Oh, it was on podcast production, which is why I started the podcast. I went to LA and it was like a week-long intensive on how to put together a podcast from like the ground up. So that's why I started the podcast after I went to LA.
Nice. Congrats.
Is there
But you had a
is there
podcast before, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, but I wasn't really like I wasn't really fully. I think I did it out of the pandemic because I wanted to do something, but I wasn't fully invested in it because I wasn't like I just was recording stuff over Zoom and like I wanted to make it better. That's why I went to the boot camp in LA because I wanted to like learn more and not just like put something together just because.
Great.
So that's
Great.
why this is kind of like a rebrand of that podcast that I did because I deleted that one.
Good. Good. So now it's fully intentional and it's very clear of what is it that you want to get out of it. So that's good. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So I made Ydaiber out of the William Esper studio a long time ago. Do you remember that time in William Esper? Like, how have you evolved as an actor, as a person since you were learning from David?
Wow. I mean, first of all, my gratitude always will be to David for taking us under his wing for those 2 years and the people that I got the opportunity to share those 2 years with. I mean, those were my favorite 2 years in New York City. It allowed me to realize so much that I had to learn, and also it made me realize so much that I got to give. And I think when we left Esper, I think we all left with an expectation and with a dream of like how things were gonna look like, and it has not been like that at all. It has evolved and changed. I think I think there's almost like a reality check on, how much the business itself is like in its own a big learning curve that is never ending. And also, it's like being okay also with every stage of where I have been in my career, and I think when I was at Esper and leaving Esper, I was willing to do anything, it's just like, yes, I'll do it. It's free. It doesn't matter. I'll do it,
Same.
which is great for training or for practice,
Right.
and I think that with the year, it's been over a decade. I realized that also there's a value of what I have to bring to the table, and I have to honor that value. And it's okay to want to be compensated accordingly, for that value. And so that has been a big leap. It doesn't mean that I will never do anything that is unpaid. If the project really calls out to me and for whatever reason, there's no immediate compensation at the moment, sometimes I would make an exception, or if there's a director or even a student that I really, really want to work with because I see the vision or I love the character, or sure, I will do that. But I don't spend my weekends anymore hustling for those free jobs just because I wanted to be on my reel, which at the end of the
Yeah.
day, a lot of the material didn't even make it to my reel because it was either not good enough or I never even got a copy of it. So,
Yeah,
but it was great
exactly.
practice. It definitely taught me to be on set, to ask for the things that I want, which I think is very important. I think that as actors, sometimes we're so eager to work that we're willing to just be like, oh, it's okay. Yeah, big size, okay. And it's like, no, 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 no. We're gonna work professionally, then let's be professional about it. And I have no shame now to ask for the things that I need. Even in, and I'm talking about now like TV sets where I have had the opportunity to work with people that have inspired me and continue to inspire me, and I still, obviously still there's a humbleness that is gonna come across because that's just who I am, that's just my nature. But at the same time, bring that assertiveness and say, you know what, I need a stunt coordinator for this. I'm like, I don't think I can do this by myself. I need someone to teach me how to fall
Yeah.
down 10 times and do it safely, and people meet you where you are at, if you're there and you're clear about what is it that you want and why is it that you want it, people are responsive to it. So now I approach things with, obviously always there's going to be a place of gratitude, but there's also going to be a place of like, okay, professionalism, like knowing my value, knowing what I bring to the table has been a game changer for me. But it takes years of that, and it takes years of saying yes and then now to saying no to things. And now I also say
Yeah.
no, and that's very empowering.
Yeah, that's good. I know. I've been saying no a lot. I was the same at the beginning of after we graduated Esper. Like I did so many awful plays for free, and just like
Yeah.
student films. I was like, oh, why did I do that? Was there a time in your life where you felt like giving up and just like you like, you know what, this is not for me? And like, how do you overcome that idea of like giving up?
Every day. Every day. No, okay, maybe not every day. Every week, every month. Yeah, I contemplated a lot.
Uh-huh.
And I gotta be honest, if I if I could do something else and be equally happy as I feel when I'm on set, I would do it. But that's not the truth. There's something about my soul calling that requires me to be a creative person. And I think that what has evolved also, it's where I get to place my creativity and how I get to express my creativity. So there's a lot of doubt that comes with this profession. It's just inevitable. And I think that happens at every level. I've seen it at every level. I've seen it with the people being number one in the call sheet, with the director, with the producer, with the ad agency that is producing a spot. I've seen it at every level, which allows me to even have more compassion about how we bring everybody into this creative world. And I think that doubt has allowed me to realize that I just have to constantly redirect that energy, redirect that rejection, because I get rejected every week, at least once, if not 5 times, depending on how busy a week has been. And if we continue to place our value into the external validation, into the booking, into the getting the job, then we're never going to feel fulfilled. So it's like, what else can I do? How can I cultivate my day-to-day life, so that when the opportunity comes, yay, amazing, wonderful. But when it doesn't come, it's okay. I have another 10,000 things that I'm doing. Okay, maybe not that many, but I have another handful of things that I'm doing that feel very fulfilling as well. So I think it's a matter of redirecting the energy and constantly exploring other ways to express that creativity. And for me, it has been through producing, through directing, through simply collaborating with somebody on the other side of creating a project. I have not fully explored writing yet, but I think that's a medium that I'm probably going to explore very soon. And then, having other hobbies, other interests, other careers, other things that just light me up, and
Yeah.
that's just the way I have made things work. Yeah.
And what has been your most memorable job up to date? Because you've done a lot of stuff. You're always working. So is there a job that you were like, oh my God, that was incredible?
Hacks. Hacks was, it was so meaningful in so many different ways, because Hacks came to me after, I want to say, maybe 2 years of not booking a job. It just came to me after a long season of not booking. It also is technically my first comedy job. And I arrived to set. We're still in the middle of the pandemic. We are all wearing masks and shields, the whole 9 yards. And the director, the executive producer, and the other two executive producers approached me and were so welcoming. They made me feel like I had just nailed my audition in a way that it was just like, we knew it was you. And that, again, for someone who had not been working for a little bit, that felt amazing. Standing there watching Jean Smart working with the other two actresses that were on set, I was just mesmerized. I was like, oh my God, how lucky I am that I get to witness this in person, to watch this legend working and doing her thing, and, this freedom and this confidence. And I was like, I want that. I want to be that. And remember going back to my trailer and telling my coach, like, oh my God, I'm doing this and I'm having so much imposter syndrome, like in the middle of the day. And she's like, what are you talking about? You earned this. You deserve to be there. You got this because you did something right. I'm like, okay. And then almost giving myself permission of bringing that, of bringing like, yes, I deserve to be here. I'm as good as they are, and that's a very hard thing to admit, when you're surrounded by this talent. And then, everything that came after Hacks, it's been a beautiful journey. Like, I still occasionally would get a random message from someone that I haven't talked in years with, and they're like, oh my God, I just saw you in Hacks. And, I left that set, first of all, feeling that it was the most encouraging, loving, beautiful energy set that I ever been to. But also, as I was leaving, I was approached again and they told me, oh my God, you need to tell your agent that you need to do more comedy. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is new to me. This is my first time. And they're like, what? So, so that job for me is always going to be, if not my favorite, one of the top. At the moment, I would say that's my favorite job ever.
No, that's so exciting. I'm also happy for you when you posted about it on Instagram.
Yeah. That felt really good. And and here's the thing, things happen as a cycle in this industry. You know, sometimes you're up and sometimes you're down. And, you know, right after Hacks, I booked another job. And that job, I ended up working 2 days with Rose Bear. So again, I had another amazing experience of being on set with somebody who I have watched and seen grown and admire for so many years. And then my scene was cut. It never made it to the show. And it's like so bittersweet, you know, and it's like it can be heartbreaking, you know. It's like one day you're here in cloud nine because you got to work with these amazing people, and then the next day it's like, sorry, you didn't make the cut. And it has nothing to do with you, you know. They simply changed the storyline. They even changed the way the whole episode went. And I was like, oh, this is completely different, and I'm not even in it. Okay. You know, it happened.
Yeah. Well, aside from an actor, a good actor at that, you're also an entrepreneur. Can you share a little more of what is to rekindle your life and what is an emotional code practitioner?
Sure. So Rekindle Your Light started because I always been connected to my spiritual side, but I think I had neglected it for many, many, many years. And close to when I booked Hack, I was already working with a coach around clearing these energies that I just felt they were just stuck. They were just like, I just wasn't feeling like things were moving along, but I was also feeling fatigue and which is not my nature. You know, I'm extremely energetic. If you know anything about human design, I'm a generator, which means I'm able to sustain my own energy for hours. I could go on and on and on and on and on and don't get tired. You know, that's just the way I'm designed. That's just the way I am. That's just the way I function. So when I'm not performing at that level, I know something is off. So I found these through a friend of mine in LA. I found this practitioner who does emotion code. Actually, she does emotion code and body code. And they explained to me it's an energy healing technique where we get rid of whatever trap emotions your body has accumulated for years. And this is in a subconscious level. So you might not even be aware that when you were 4 years old and you were not invited to be a part of the play in school, that probably held something in you that had to do with your self-worth. And that just got stuck. And then things just keep getting stuck as you grow up. There's energies and emotions that can be stuck from you seeing your parents fight, from your mom being worried when she was pregnant with you. I mean, there's inherited trapped emotions, there are shared trapped emotions, and then there's your own trapped emotions that you just constantly, if you're not processing them, you know, you're constantly getting them trapped in your body. And this could cause not only the energetic, you know, weakness and the energetic feeling like this is not me kind of thing, but also it could cause illness. You know, it could cause chronic stress, pain. You know, my back pain is completely related to the trapped emotions in my heart. You know, they're ultimately related. So after working with her for a long time, and I was feeling really good and I was feeling super magnetic, that's when I lost my dad. And, you know, I have lost a lot of people in my life. I have lost both of my siblings. And this one felt different. You know, I think the loss of a parent, it's just different. It's just, it's different. It's difficult to explain, but it felt very different and difficult for me. However, you know, when my dad, I wasn't aware that he was going to pass. You know, it's not like, oh, we knew he was ill. No, it was very sudden. It was very unexpected. I did know that morning that he was taken into the hospital and it was an emergency. And I just felt it. I just felt that something was off. And I started seeing like lights around me, you know, like it was, I was looking for the source of light because, you know, as much as I'm a believer, I'm also a skeptic sometimes. And I was like, where's this light coming from? And I'm like, there's just lights and there's like lights ahead of me. And I'm like, Lord. And then I heard the words, follow the light. And that's when I just knew that my dad was gone. I just knew it. And I arrived home and there were lights in my house too. And there were lights And yeah, they called me within the next half hour to tell me that he had passed. And of course, at the moment, I didn't know where that was going to take me. There was no intention of like, oh, this must be the idea. No, I had, I spend my time working with my coach, just processing now the grief, which this is an ongoing process. It has not ended, but it's obviously better. And months later, I just asked her and I say, do you think this is something I can do? I'm like, I feel like so many people are walking around with this heaviness and I just want to help them. I just want to be that light for other people, and it's like, oh my God, I think you'll be perfect for this. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to think about it. And even though I tend to be someone who makes decisions like, yes, I want this, I'm going to do it now, done, 35. I took my time and then eventually I signed up for the certification program and I graduated on my dad's anniversary. So it was 2/21/22. Yes. So last year on his anniversary, that was the way that I wanted to do it. And I received the certification that day. I launched the business the next day. So this is my way to honor him. And this is also my way to realizing that I have a lot more to offer beyond being an actor. I think an actor, a performer, an artist is always going to be a part of me. I'm like, that's not going away. That's not going anywhere. That's what fills my soul of just joy and playfulness. And I think this new chapter of my life is guiding me to guide other people to find that light in themselves, So that's what Rekindle Your Light is about. And I'm in the process of getting certified for a different course called Dharma Coaching, which is literally just helping people find their soul purpose. It's like, what do we come to this world, to this life to do? And it has helped me understand that I came to this world to be that mirror to other people, to show people that it's okay to have many different interests and many different passions and be multi-talented and be multi-passionate. And yeah, I'm super, super excited about this new chapter.
And how intense is the training for the Dharma coaching? Is that something that's like energy?
It's intense, It's like we have learned everything from the chakra system to the Dharma, the Dharma blueprint itself. We're just going to start now the business side. So we literally just finished the coaching side. But for the last 4 months, I've been in class every Wednesday and I have been practicing coaching every week. We have a minimum amount of hours that we have to complete of actual coaching experience. And so I have a handful of classmates that we help each other, with practice and coaching. And we have what is called pods. So every week, you get into a pod and then you're paired randomly with somebody and you get to work. And let me tell you, this is when the acting comes super handy too, because it's like improv. You don't know you don't know what you're gonna get. You just have to go with it. You just have to stay in it and be present and listen and just connect to the person's soul, because at the end of the day, that's all we're trying to do. Even as actors, all we're trying to do is to connect to the people that is watching us, to connect to their soul, so to have them resonate with what we're doing. So
it's
I'm
like
doing
you're
the
back at
same thing.
Aspire all over
just
again.
with a different approach. Yes, it is. I mean, I think at least I don't have to be learning like super long, 15-page scenes. But they're still learning. And mind you, I'm doing all of this while I'm still holding my full-time job and while I'm still auditioning, so that's what is more challenging. This is not like the only thing I'm doing. So yeah.
How do you balance everything?
That's the trick. It's hard, it's really hard. I think you have to constantly be checking back at your self-care practices. And I think for me, it means a lot of movement. I exercise is a big part of my life. also because I do have an anxiety disorder. And for me, it's very important to get rid of that energy, by meditating, by exercising, by nourishing my body. I'm very, very cautious of what I eat. So, and I'm struggling with my sleep cycles, but I'm working on it. So all of those things need to be in balance. And then I'm still learning to work around my design so that my days feel more intentional. So even though I have my schedule at work, then I get my practices done before 8:30 in the morning. So sometimes I'm seeing clients at 7 a.m. or 7:30 a.m. before I start work, or I see them after 5:30 p.m., or I see them on the weekends, or my Wednesday, I take Wednesdays off at work. So that's my day to kind of focus on all of that. And then auditions is like whenever I can plug them in, lunch break. Yeah. Sure, let's do an audition, you just plug them in whenever. And my job is super supportive of my acting career. I'm very, very fortunate and lucky. It has taken me a lot of years to find that balance, of being able to be who I am and tell them like I am an actor, and then actually asking like, how's the acting going? Versus having to lie or like, oh, I haven't talked to a appointment. No, there's no need for that anymore, which feels so good,
That's good. I think that's the hardest part when you're starting out, finding a job that understands that, they come second to your first career, which is acting or whatever it might be.
And I think it has a lot to do with how you word it out, because if you tell them, oh, you're second, that might not be received well. But if you tell them, my job is gonna get done regardless, it's how you word it and also how you show up. If you show up and you make them feel that even though I have to take an extra day off so that I can fit in all of those things in, but my job is gonna be done regardless, then it's taken different. It's received well. It's received like, okay, she's right. Her work has been done. I mean, this is my 4th year with them, going into 5, and they know it. They know my work is going to be done, even if I have to take 2-3 days off because I have a commercial to shoot.
Yeah. So I have a little game. Well, not a game. It's a rapid fire segment, questions.
Oh,
just to see how many questions can you get in 2 minutes.
Okay. Is this trivial or is this questions about
No,
me?
they're just questions about you, and you can just ask many as you can.
Okay.
So, but there's 2 minutes, so I'm gonna start the clock. Oh, you know what? There's a little delayed. Well, let's see how this goes.
Okay.
Ready? What is your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, My Heart Will Go On.
Who's your current celebrity crush?
Oh, Bradley Cooper.
What is your favorite emoji?
Smiley face.
What is your pet peeve? Your biggest pet peeve?
People who lie.
Most unique place you visited?
The Wall of China.
Worst audition you've ever had?
Oh, I completely blanked out, forgot my lines, had the lines in my hand, and I still could not read them.
What was that for?
Tragic. It was a reporter. I'm like, don't call me for reporters. Can you have an accent? It was a reporter. And I think it was for Mr. Mayor. Yeah, it was a comedy show, Mr. Mayor. And needless to say, I was never called back into the office.
But do you work with background noise or in silence?
It varies. Both. Depends what I'm doing.
What's your favorite YouTube channel?
There's this couple called The Country Collectors, and they have this amazing series about Mexico, and it's like all the stuff that they've done in Mexico, and every episode is a different part of Mexico. I love that one.
Favorite TV show?
Ted Lasso. Jason Sudeikis is my other girl.
That's it. Great job. You answer.
I did it.
You answer 9 questions. You hold the record because you're the first one I do this with.
Okay. Well, I hope nobody takes it away from me.
And to finish our podcast episode, what would be the one thing you would tell your younger self as she embarks in this journey to pursue this career in entertainment? What will be the advice you will go back to tell your younger self?
This is very Ted Lasso-like, but believe, know in your heart that if it's meant for you, it's going to happen. It just might not be on your terms. So just surrender and allow the things to come to you.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you
I
so
get
much,
super emotional
Ydaiber.
talking to my younger self. Thank you for making this space and for your energy and your welcoming. I had a blast, and I wish you
I'm
so much
glad.
success in this podcast. And where can I direct people to listen to this?
Well, no. First of all, if anybody wants to hire you to find their own light and hire you as their coach, how will they go about doing that?
The best way to find me is on Instagram. I go under Rekindle Your Life, and I also have my personal Instagram page at Ydaiber. It's just my name, Ydaiber. So it's very easy to get a hold of me because it. So yeah, that's the best way to find me.
You're the only one in the world.
I am.
And then everyone can find the podcast at the Hollywood Dream Pod on Instagram and all the other places that you listen to podcasts.